Hello, and welcome to the Rankin Report for Wednesday, May the 4th, 2022. I apologize for the delay of a couple of days, but we've been busy with a few things going on out here. Our cousin is back from Pennsylvania and is back to stay here in Texas, so we've been helping get things set up out here. From the book of Matthew, chapter 25, verses 14 through 30. In the New International Version, this is called the parable of the bags of gold. Most people know it as the parable of the talents or the parable of the minas. Jesus is speaking to his disciples, talking about what the kingdom of heaven is like. And we pick it up at verse 14. Again, it will be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and has trusted his wealth to them. To one he gave 5 bags of gold, to another 2 bags, and to another 1 bag, each according to his ability. Then he went on his journey. The man who had received 5 bags of gold went at once and put his money to work and gained 5 bags more. So also the one with 2 bags of gold gained 2 more. But the man who had received 1 bag went off, dug a hole in the ground, and hid his master's money. After a long time, the master of those servants returned and settled accounts with them. The man who had received 5 bags of gold brought the other 5. Master, he said, you entrusted me with 5 bags of gold. See, I have gained 5 more. His master replied, Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. The man with 2 bags of gold also came. Master, he said, you entrusted me with 2 bags of gold. See, I have gained 2 more. The master replied, Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. Then the man who had received the 1 bag came. Master, he said, I knew that you are a hard man, harvesting where you have not sown and gathering where you have not scattered seed. So I was afraid and went out and hid your gold in the ground. See, here is what belongs to you. His master replied, You wicked, lazy servant. So you knew that I harvest where I have not sown and gather where I have not scattered seed? Well, then you should have put my money on deposit with the bankers so that when I returned I would have received it back with interest. So take the bag of gold from him, give it to the one who has 10 bags. For whoever has will be given more, and they will have an abundance. Whoever does not have, even what they have will be taken from them. And throw that worthless servant outside into the darkness where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Now, when we read this parable, whether it be bags of gold, talents, minas, whatever, the servants are entrusted with the master's property. And, in other words, what the master gave them to take care of. There are other things that we are entrusted with than bags of gold. What we do with what we earn in a job, now that we're certainly held accountable for that. If we spend foolishly, we suffer the consequences of that. If we save and spend wisely, then we continue to have an abundance. We have stuff put away for emergencies. We have money to help other people with. Most people who claim that Christians are taught that we how can I put this? Are taught that we are to make money for the kingdom, have the wrong idea that we make it for our own use. It's not. We are blessed to be a blessing to others. We are blessed to have the financial resources for God to be able to use us. And there's more than just money at work here. we are given many things. We are given talents in terms of talents for, say, working computers, writing or performing music, art, talents for writing, talents for many different things. And one of the things that in this country that we are given to care for and to work with is our political situation, our political position. God entrusted this nation with a republic, which means that we elect people to to cast their votes in legislatures and make decisions for us. They are accountable to us. They are our servants. And so we are, in this country, the source of political power. I've spoken on this before, but I wanted to repeat this today because this is an important time. May is here, and we are starting on political primaries. And those primaries that once were just ignored, especially in an off year like this one where there is no presidential election, now have become frightfully important as we look to try to take this country back from wicked people who do not serve God, who do not serve the people, but who serve themselves, who serve an agenda that would round up the world into one big nation that would go against God and his teachings, or people who have outright sold themselves over to Satan. It has happened. There are people like that today in this world, and many of them control political figures. They wield this authority not for God, but for the devil. Now, I know that sounds like a crazy thing to say, but it is true. This is not a wacky thing coming out of some preacher's mouth. If you believe in God, you have to deal with the idea of Satan. And he controls a lot of people. And some of them, sadly, hold political office. They may present an appearance of righteousness, an appearance of Christian behavior, but they are not. And we have seen the effects of this down through the decades. As long as I have been alive, this slide has gone from shallow and it's getting steep. It's got to be stopped somehow, and it begins with how we vote. If we believe that God gave us this system, or at least it was influenced by reading the Bible, reading the scriptures, God can give something whether directly or indirectly, but if you believe that this system is biblically based or comes from God, then it stands to reason that we will be held accountable for what we did with our votes. Now, that doesn't mean that, God's keeping tallies up in heaven. They're going, okay, let's see. Whoa, that one didn't turn out so good. And all that sort of thing. The review in heaven is not going to look like the TV news services on election night. But God is concerned with the heart of how we vote. Our hearts are reasons why we voted the way we did. And what we did if we find out that the person we voted for wasn't what we thought he or she would be. So that means that we've got to be more accountable to ourselves first with how we vote. In Texas, in the county where I live, there's not much on the ballot this time around. We've got spots for a couple of constitutional amendments for the state, dealing with property taxes, and we've got 3 seats on the board of directors of our local school board. Do you think that this is nothing, especially with what's coming out of the schools these days? I assure you, this is more important even than the property tax situation. So I'm going to do the research as to who these people are, what they believe, how I should vote. And I encourage others to do the same. You cannot leave this to chance any longer. This is a situation now that does not call for just meh. You've got to get involved. And it begins first with how we vote. Now, God may call you to say, well, if you don't like any of these people, why don't you run? And some people are. I pray every night that God would remove the wicked from office and raise up the righteous to take their place. And I check who I vote for now. No matter how small an office it may seem, or how insignificant it may be, we cannot afford to do this. Try that again. We can't afford to do this any longer. Okay, so what if you do your due diligence and you're still not sure of who to vote for? Well, there's an easy solution to that. When you get to the voting booth, you say a quick prayer, you ask the Holy Spirit for wisdom and for guidance. There is no law that I am aware of that says you cannot pray at the voting place. I've done it myself on more than one occasion when I didn't know who to vote for. I asked, Holy Spirit, give me wisdom, please, give me guidance. Who should I pick? And he will let you know what is to be done, what would honor him, and what would be best for the people of the community. Times are crazy, folks. People are crazy, and the times are strange, to quote Bob Dylan. We have got to get involved. We have got to be the overseers of our elected offices, because we're the ones hiring these folks by voting for them. It's time to be more hands-on with this. God bless you and help you to make that decision and help you to do what you need to do as we approach the elections this year. That's the Rankin Report for Wednesday, May the 4th, May the 4th, 2022. God bless you. Have a great day.